Good morning. I appreciate everybody joining us this morning. This audio is going to be, and video is going to be a re-recording of the presentation that we made this morning where we had a few technical difficulties. So anybody that was online and had missed that, I appreciate you sticking with us. Anyway, I wanted to discuss with you today our new GIS product through courthousedirect.com. I'm not sure how much many of y'all folks know what GIS is, but we're going to be talking about GIS and how that relates to the information that we have online. Before we do that, I want to just go through very quickly the companies that we own and the services we provide through Courthouse Direct. On courthousedirect.com, which is our online website, we do provide document images in about 900 counties nationwide. Also, we provide grantor-grantee indexes. Most of the major counties in Texas, I believe we have about 80 counties online now, and we're building databases that go back to sovereignty in many of the counties. Also, we provide abstracting services, so if people want to contact us and have us do the research for them, we're more than happy to do that. Also, we own Integrity Title Company, which is a Texas licensed title agent. And primarily what we do is provide title evidence and title examination for other Texas title agencies. Our company also builds title plant facilities, and a lot of the information you're going to be seeing on the GIS is information that comes from our title plants. And Integrity Title Records is our title plant. And in fact, Integrity Title Records, about 1/3 of all the licensed title agencies licensed in the state of Texas that are using title plants are using our title plants. So we are the largest provider in Texas. Also, too, another service we provide that we're very excited about is courthousesquare.com, which is a nationwide networking tool for real estate and legal professionals. If you're not listed on Courthouse Square, I would encourage you to take a look at the website. It is free to be listed, and it's free to search. And so when someone's needing an appraiser, a surveyor, an engineer in a particular county, they simply drill down to the state, then down to the county, and find the people they want to do business with. I will mention that our company is celebrating 30 years of being in business, primarily providing service for the real estate and legal industries. And so we're actually having a nice party next week to celebrate our 30 years. When we talk about GIS, essentially GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems, and GIS is really designed to capture and store and manipulate different types of data. The image that you see on the screen there is a really good representation of what GIS does, and that is it takes information and it layers that information so it's more practical to use. And so this information is coming from different databases and from different maps, and then being able to combine all that is really where you gain your efficiencies. And who can use GIS? Well, on the phone call this morning, we had a lot of different types of users. We had title examiners and abstractors and title agents. Also, a lot of independent abstractors were on the line. Also, we had different public entities like the Texas Highway Department and some other folks, and some investors, and also real estate agents that provide both commercial and residential services. So what has courthousedirect.com done with GIS? What we've done is we've combined the databases, which is the tax information, which is coming from the appraisal districts in an area, also the recent sales information, which is information that's coming from our title plants. We overlay that with maps, and those maps are information that comes from the appraisal district and different municipalities. We're kind of still at the early stages of developing all of our GIS, so there will be different layers of map that you don't see there now, but you will see in the future. So once you're on GIS and you're using it, what are you trying to do? Well, I want to perhaps build a report. I want to look at all the basic appraisal information in an area. I want to build perhaps what we call a detailed report of appraisal information, or I want to create perhaps a current sales report. Also, you have the ability on the GIS to create mailing labels, and you can create mailing labels, which is information that's derived from the tax records, or mailing labels that's derived from recent sales information. So when you're on Courthouse Direct and you want to go into the GIS, there's a couple ways to get there. One is a button that's along the left-hand side that just says GIS Map Search, and the other is one that sits above the U.S. map where it says GIS Mapping and Reports. I do want to point out one other button here that I want to make sure you know about, and that's the Coverage button. If you see the state of Texas along the left-hand side, I would encourage all of y'all to click on that Coverage button and see all of the data that we have statewide. And you'll notice that in some counties we have records that go back to the 1800s, and so a very comprehensive set of records, and sometimes people aren't aware of everything that's there. So once you click on those buttons, it'll take you to this dialog page, which gives a little explanation about GIS. And then if you click on the Access GIS button where the green circle is, that'll move you into the actual GIS services. So this is the screen that you'll see, which we call our GIS launch screen. And if I want to go down to an area, I can click on Zoom to an area and drill down to it. And then across the top, we have this menu bar. So if we kind of start from left to right, essentially we can select a single parcel that we want to be able to do searching on, or we can select multiple parcels and just draw a box around the area. We can also, after we choose the boxes, we may want to clear those selections to be able to choose additional boxes, and you can just simply do that by clicking Clear Selection. On this service, you can do a nationwide address search, and it'll bring you to that particular map. Do keep in mind, though, right now we have Dallas, Tarrant, and Johnson County with our GIS. We're in the very near future going to be adding Collin and Denton County, and after that we're moving into the Houston area, and we'll be doing Harris, Fort Bend, Montgomery, and all of the counties around Houston, and then we'll move over to the Austin and San Antonio area and do those. One question that people might have is how quickly will we be in Harris County or Fort Bend County, and as we're working on it, we're really projecting probably about, we're thinking about 60 to 90 days to be in those counties. So we did start in the Dallas County first. Now along the left-hand side, this is your menu bar where essentially you can search the tax records and search by account number, the owner's name or address, or even a zip code. And then once you've searched those records, you can create a report. That's either what we mentioned was an appraisal detail report or an appraisal basic report, or choose to create mailing labels. Also, if you're researching current sales, then you can search that by account number or the party, or you can look for all current sales under a certain zip code. And then from there, you can create what we call a sales report, or you can create mailing labels. So the next thing that is on the left-hand side is your map layers. So you can choose to only look at new sales info for commercial properties, or choose to only look at new sales information for residential. And then as you're drilling down on the map, you can see where the subdivisions are, where the block, the parcel numbers, and the abstract lines are. So again, if we're going to zoom down to an area, then we click on a button there that says Zoom to Area. And in this case, we've zoomed to an area that is in Dallas County next to what we call Indian Trail and Satsuma Drive. And we've selected certain parcels either by choosing the multiple search selection or single parcels, and we can see on the map the different lot numbers and the block numbers and so on. We can also switch the map over to the satellite imagery, and that's what you're looking at there is the same map with the satellite imagery with the lot lines being displayed. Again, the way that we're able to search the tax information is by the account number, the owner's name, the street address, or the zip code. And let's say, for instance, we pulled up the information by zip code. What you're looking at would be the search results below, which is all the properties that fall within a certain zip code. And if I wanted to go to a specific property, I could click on that property, and then that would drill me down to the actual map where the property is located. And then something else that you'll see when you select these properties is what we call a map tip, which is just very quick information that tells you a little bit about the property, and that is the tax account number, whether it's commercial property or residential property, the street address, also the zip code, and then whoever the owner's name is. Keep in mind that the owner's name is typically the taxpayer, on the property and not always the actual owner of the property. And then also the deed number. So we know that at least when this Dallas County Development Company bought the property, then they bought it in 1998 under volume 140, page 506. So once we've selected certain information and we want to pull that into what we call an appraisal basic report, that's what you're looking at here on the appraisal basic. So what you're looking at is the current owner's name and whatever their mailing address is. Also the tract number and the block number. Also you would see the lot and block number and section number sometimes. Also the account number. And if you're looking down below, you'll also notice that you have the ability when you create a basic report to be able to type in the seller's name and the buyer's name, that is the grantor and grantee. You can also type in, if you're doing title research, the voluntary liens that are against the property. Also type in the involuntary liens. And you'll notice when we do our report in just a little bit, there's also a comment area. So if you wanted to add a comment like the 10-foot utility easement along the south line, or you know, this property sold 10 days ago, or something like that, you could certainly make those kind of comments. The other powerful tool related to this is the ability to create mailing labels. So for instance, you can create the mailing labels from the tax records, and this would be used for business development or different legal notifications. So for instance, if you're a realtor and you're farming an area, that is, you're trying to let everybody know about you in the area, you could go in and just select that those properties you want to notify, very quickly create your mailing labels and send that information to them. Also, if you're a local business, like even a dentist or some kind of retail store or something like that, you want to let the local people know about you, you can also use this as a source for doing that. And for engineers and surveyors, particularly for surveyors, sometimes you're running a water line or a sewer line and you need to notify everybody along the line. You can go in there and click on the names you want to notify, very quickly click on the mailing labels and be able to print all of those mailing labels out. A lot of engineers that are platting different subdivisions, they have to notify everybody within, let's say, 500 feet of a replat, and they can use this tool to be able to go through and select the properties that are around the replat and very quickly be able to send out a notice to all of those customers too. Also, when you're researching recent sales information, the same way that you zoomed into an area on tax information, you would zoom into the area on recent sales. And as I mentioned, the blue dots would represent the residential sales, and then the green dots would represent the commercial sales. And you can choose to look at a range of time frames. So for instance, on this particular page, it shows 3 months of time, but I could dial that back and look at the last 9 months or 6 months or whatever period of time we want to look at. We are trying to, as it relates to any recent sales information, we are trying to keep that information just as current as we can. So because we build databases for title insurance companies and those databases have to be very current, then we have the ability here to be able to provide information within even just a month or two. So do keep that in mind. Also, too, if you're creating mailing labels on recent sales, the different kind on commercial sales, for instance, the people that would use that would be perhaps property managers or people that are providing roofing or striping or different kind of maintenance, perhaps even window washing. On residential sales, people might want to know about new home sales if, let's say, you're the Home Depot or you're providing remodeling services or home repair or some kind of different furnishings like furniture and that sort of thing. You want to know who's recently moved into that property, because those same people are the same people that you want to reach out to if you're trying to sell to those new property owners on residential properties. So now that we've kind of gone over a very quick look at GIS, we're going to go straight into the GIS system now. So let me go out of here, and we're on the home page for Courthouse Direct. And as I mentioned, there's two ways to get into the GIS. One is the button that says GIS Mapping and Reports, and the other says GIS Map. So let's just click on the GIS Mapping and Reports. And again, this is just a little dialog page. It tells you a little bit about GIS, but to get into GIS, you simply click on the Access GIS button. Now, this dialog box just simply tells you that we've started our work on the GIS system in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we are working on different counties. And at this point, we're not charging any fee for any of these services, and we're probably going to keep that up for just a little while until we feel strongly about what we're able to charge and not able to charge. I will tell you, though, we will not be charging for any kind of basic appraisal report that you'll be getting or any detailed appraisal report, but we will be charging for the ability to create mailing labels and the new sales information. That's where we're going to charge. So now that I've drilled down into the map, you'll see the map coming on the screen, and you'll notice that we've got 3 boxes here. Of course, that's Dallas County, Tarrant County, and then Johnson County. And as I mentioned, we will be adding Denton County and Collin County in the very near future. So looking at this little kind of L-shaped box along the left-hand side, if you hold your mouse over these different buttons here, you'll see there's one button that says Zoom to an area. So that's what we're going to choose. So I want to zoom down to an area in Dallas County, and I'm going to pick an area that hopefully is going to have both commercial and residential sales. So I've zoomed into this area kind of near the north corner of 635 and the Dallas North Tollway. And right now you see a couple of green dots on the screen, but if I go on the left-hand side here and I want to refresh this screen and look for the last 3 months and click on Refresh Map, you're going to notice a lot of residential property sales that have shown up. And then let's say, for instance, if I want to go even further and let's say pull up the last 6 months and then refresh the map, you're going to see a lot more sales on the map. So again, what we're able to do is show all of those recent home sales, and then we can drill down to them and find out more about them. Now, you will notice that there's a couple of buttons here that are grayed out. That is the Select Single Parcel and Select Multiple Parcels. But as we click on the plus sign on the map and we start drilling down to the map further, you'll notice that these buttons are going to light up. I want to actually center this map a little bit so we can get some commercial property. So again, if I keep drilling down, you're going to notice that now the white lettering shows up on these buttons. And again, we talked about the map tip. You notice as I'm holding my mouse over these particular tracks, it is bringing up information, limited information about the tracks themselves. So for instance, if I were going to be doing research along these certain properties along what is 635, I could choose to select single parcels and go through here and just select one parcel at a time on the ones that I want to do research on. And you notice as I select those parcels, they are turning a darker color blue. But let's say, for instance, I want to select multiple parcels just because I know I need to research all of these properties along this road, and let's say the ones across the street, then I can select all of those, and very quickly it highlights all of those tracks. So then, for instance, I want to create a basic report here of all this information that I want to do research on. So I go over here along the left-hand side, and I choose Appraisal Basic. So when I do that, I can actually name the report for my benefit, so I can go back to it. So this is today's report, is what I'll name this. And then I can go ahead and click on Generate the Report. And we notice that there's 21 accounts that I've selected, and there was a $0 amount for the charge. Again, there's no charge to use this, so it's doing a calculation, but there's no charge. So what we're looking at here is the information that you need to be able to do your research. We see the taxpayer's name. We see their return address. We also see an abbreviated legal description for the property, the account number for the property itself, and then some information about what was the vesting deed when these people bought the property. And then, as I mentioned, you do have the ability to be able to edit this information in the report. So if I knew that John Smith sold the property to Robert Jones and to Mary Jones, then I can go in here and just make these edits, and I could put in the file number of the document that I was researching. Also, for instance, if I was researching the voluntary liens, then I would go in here and say it's payable to, Merritt bank, and the amount was, $30,000 or whatever it might be. And so you're able to make these kind of edits to the report. And then, for instance, if you're also researching involuntary liens, like IRS liens, abstracted judgments, and that sort of thing, you can enter that information also. Also, too, under the comment section, I can make other notes on here, like 10-foot utility easement along south line, or whatever other notes you want to make here. And you notice, because this is a PDF, I can just simply click the Save button on the PDF, or I could print it out. We don't do a lot of printing here. We like to save the information directly into the report that we're building. So that's how how very quickly I can create a report to be able to do this kind of subject and adjoiner type research that we do as surveyors and engineers. Also, too, I might want to look at an appraisal basic report because I want to get a little more detail about the property itself. For instance, I want to know if it is commercial or residential, or in this case, I'm looking at a over 65 exemption and that sort of thing. May not be information I might use as an engineer or surveyor, but may be critical to me if I'm an appraiser or somebody like that. And you notice since I selected 21 properties, this is page 1 of 21, so I can just go through these pages, and all of this information is accumulated into one report instead of what people are typically doing right now. That is, they're printing out all these individual pages of the tax information, which is really very time-consuming. And for instance, if I wanted to create mailing labels, maybe I want to select even a few more properties here to create the mailing labels. I can, again, click on that Select Multiple Parcels, and then click on the button that says Mailing Labels. Now, you will notice there would typically be a $20 charge here. The labels are charged at 15 cents a label. And what we're telling you is that you need to put in your printer the Avery 8160 mailing labels, and then again, what you could do is we'll call this test 20. You can add this into your report and then generate your mailing labels. So very quickly, we've got all the mailing labels that we wanted for those particular properties. So now, what I've taken would have been probably a 2 or 3 hour job. I've turned that into literally probably a 30-second job, which is just, in terms of increasing your productivity, there's no doubt that will do that. So now we've looked at these residential properties. We might want to jump over and just kind of look at across the highway here that there appears to be some commercial properties listed here too. And let's say, for instance, I wanted to look at, let's say, all the commercial properties that have sold within the last 3 months in this particular zip code. And I believe the zip code that I'm looking at is 75244. So under the recent sales, again, you notice that I do have the ability to choose zip code. And then I can go in here and just enter that zip code, so 75244. And I can select the property type. So I'm interested in commercial properties, and I want to look at a period of 3 months. I can put in specific days if I wanted to, but I'm going to run 3 months. And then I'm just going to click on the search button. So what we're doing is building a list of all the recent sales that are in this area. And then I say, well, here's a bank that sold at 4300 Sigma. And then if I wanted to actually pull a report on these specific properties, then I can just click on the properties that I want to build the reports on. And then if I go over here to where it says Current Sales Report, I can click on that. Then it'll have a dialog box that says, if you selected 5 accounts, and go ahead and generate the report. And we'll call this Test 30. And then I'm going to go ahead and generate that. Now, what's kind of interesting about the commercial property reports is we do a lot of work after we find the actual record's been sold, and we're making a determination whether it was an arm's length sale or not. We're also giving you the file number of the exact deed where the document was filed. We also are showing information, address and contact information for the buyer and seller, and where we can do so, we track down the email address and the website for the actual entity that's participating in the sale. So the information that you're getting off of these commercial sales is a lot more information than you would get just to know that, oh, this property sold. So do keep that in mind, particularly appraisers that are listening to these comments. This is a powerful tool for you as an appraiser, and the ability to be able to go through and take an area and very quickly, have addresses and phone numbers and contact names for the people that you want to contact for these recent sales. That's a powerful resource. The same way, if I wanted to contact these same folks to send them mailing labels, I could just simply click on the mailing label button when I've selected those reports and be able to create the mailing labels for those. So I'm going to also overlay the Google layers here. So I'm just going to click on Google layers and then click on Google Hybrid, and you're going to see where we can overlay this information. You can still use tag the properties that you're interested in. So for instance, if I were a swimming pool supply company and I wanted to contact everybody with a swimming pool, then I could go through here and just click on those properties that I want to contact with swimming pools. Sometimes you'll get that not authorized. I'm just going to go all the way out and come right back in. You can see how quickly you can do that too. Okay, I'm going to try to drill down to that same general area again. Okay, so again, from here, just to kind of review, the blue dots that you see on the screen when you pick the time periods, those are the residential properties. The green dots are the commercial properties. You can simply keep drilling down on the area that you're looking for. You can also choose to search by the address or the zip code on an area, or an owner's name for that matter, and then look at either an appraisal basic report, appraisal detail, create mailing labels, and that sort of thing. So the other thing I did want to show you is that if you click under the Tools button, and we will probably be changing the Tools button to Reports, but if I wanted to look at something that I'd pulled up, for instance, you can see where I created this today's report. If I want to go back to that, I just simply click on that, and that'll bring back up that particular report that I just created a few minutes earlier. So that's the appraisal basic report that I did, and then if I wanted to go back to one of these other reports and the mailing labels or whatever it might be, I can go back to that. So to be able to go back to the report, let's say, for instance, you had your mailing labels in, but you ran out of mailing labels and you wanted to print that again, you have the ability to do so. Now, something I want to show you before we get off the line today is there are a lot of, I think, engineers, perhaps surveyors, that did not realize we have a lot of the historical records in these counties. So I want to point that out to you. If we go back to Courthouse Direct's homepage, there's a couple of buttons here that I do want to make you aware of. One is this Adverse Lien Search button, and the other is the Historical Deed button. I'm going to click on the Adverse Lien button first, because as a business person or someone that is going to do business with someone else, sometimes you want to find out if they have any adverse liens, that is, or any involuntary liens filed against them. So for instance, I'm searching Harris County for this name, and when I search the county for this particular name, it's going to bring back results of all of the internal revenue liens, abstracts of judgment, state tax liens, anything that might be a concern to you as somebody that might be delivering product or delivering information to them. So it's always good to be able to kind of do the due diligence on the people we do business with, and this is a great resource, because what we're doing is we're filtering out all of the information, the deeds and the mortgages and that sort of thing, and displaying strictly the information that are the adverse lien filings. And you notice that we've done this in all the major counties in Texas. So if you wanted to, if you're doing business with somebody in Tarrant County but you're in Dallas County, you can just simply go in here and choose that county to be able to do that research. The other thing I want to point out to y'all is the historical records. This is a very, very powerful resource for anybody that's trying to pull older information. One thing that you can look at here is the very first folder at the top says Starter, Bases, Plats, Master. And what this is where we've gone through and pulled prior title commitments. And for instance, if I wanted to find out the deed restrictions in a certain area, I could go in here and say, well, I'm looking for the Harris County, and I'm looking for a subdivision, and I'm looking for some deed restrictions in this particular subdivision that has the letter G. And what you're going to notice here, and you notice I'm moving my bar over so I can see the entire name, these are all the subdivisions in the letter G in Harris County. And so if I go down and say, well, the subdivision I'm looking for is Gessner Grove, then I can click on that, and that'll open up this box, and it'll show you typically, what plats or other kind of information might be filed there. So if I wanted to, let's say, look at a prior commitment, I could click on the commitment and then flip through the pages. And particularly, we all know that Schedule B is on the second page, so I can go to here and see, oh, these are the deed restrictions that affect that particular subdivision. If I wanted to look at the plat, I could click on the plat button and be able to look at the plat there. Now, if you're looking at the plats or the commitments, you'll notice there is a price at the top right-hand corner. It's actually $1 to view and $1 to download. We also do have the plats that are actually free to view. The starters are not, or the prior title commitments are not. But and I'm closing, you notice I'm just closing out these windows so I can get back here. And now I want to go to, let's say, Tarrant County. So if I go to Tarrant County, choose the box, you'll notice we have a lot of different information here. We've got the deeds that are filed, also the tax cards. We've got the Tarrant County grantor-grantee indexes that go back to 1836. We have the condo records, the plats. So, for instance, if I wanted to pull a plat in an area, and I knew, where the recording was for the plat, or you could use the index that we provide online, then I can go in here and drill down to that particular plat. And I'm, as I'll want to do, I'll end up on a bunch of tax printouts. But essentially, if I'm looking at this plat, then it's free to view the plat. So the only time I'm paying is when I download the copy. So for instance, if all I really needed to do was get a lot dimension or something off this particular plat, then I could, simply drill down to the map, get my dimension, and then move on. And you'll notice there's no fee to view the plat, and there's no fee to view the older deeds. So again, let me just kind of close that out and jump back to the older deed. So if I wanted to look at an old deed in Tarrant County, let's say that's recorded in volume 520, page 10, then I would just go in here and find early deed number 520, and then from there I would just drill down to that particular page number. And it takes a second or so to open up, but I just go down to page 10. And I can see this is a document that was filed apparently in 1917, January 1917, and you'll notice how clear those images are on the screen. And that's true for Tarrant County. We also have Dallas County. I will tell you the Dallas County came from microfilm. Some of it wasn't quite as clear as the information that we got in Tarrant County, but still. If you're able to just drill down to a particular volume and page number, very quickly look at the document that you're needing to get a dimension off of or some information from, you can do that. Down at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you will notice that you can adjust the lighting on these documents. So, for instance, if you're having a little hard time reading it, you can adjust the lighting to make it more clear so that you can read it better. So, again, just wanted to take a minute or two just to show you these older resources that we have in Harris County, or excuse me, that we have on the courthousedirect.com website. Again, the ability to be able to drill down to an area, just like I'm going down to Wise County. We have pretty much every piece of paper filed in Wise County right here on our website. So if I wanted to look at an old deed record map, or I wanted to look at an older document, then I can go in here, and also I can use the old grantor-grantee indexes in here too. So So do keep that in mind, just the different resources that are available to you. I hope everyone that's listening enjoys our new GIS service. I will encourage you to call me if you have any questions. My direct line number here is 713-683-4012. Again, I'm Paul Cones. I'll also tell you can contact Brian Treadle at 214-886-6556 for any questions that you have. And if you're interested in getting listed on courthousesquare.com, then I would tell you to contact Jennifer Riley. And Jennifer's telephone number direct line is 713-683-4083. Again, we really appreciate you being on board, and for the folks that experienced our technical difficulties earlier, we do apologize for that. Hopefully you'll enjoy this recording and we can talk soon. Thank you and have a great day today.